The following program contains graphic material, including offensive language. Viewer discretion is advised.
There's nothing like the sight of one of Yellowstone's magnificent bison to slow traffic. These shaggy giants seem oblivious to the traffic. They cross the road where they want, they go where they want. The National Park Service says humans need to keep far away from bison, but they don't. People in quest of a photo get very stupid. You see, these animals will charge. See this guy? He thinks he's sneaking up on the bison to get a close-up shot? Bad idea. Look what happens. Here's a picture of some kids this summer at Yellowstone. Way too close. Look what happens. Now, this doesn't mean that you can't get good photos. Just keep your distance. If you're lucky, you can get some great video or still shots like this sequence that I got this summer of a herd of bison swimming across the Yellowstone River.
Hello everybody, it's Jeff. Good to see everybody there. Well, hope you had a good day. It's been a very nice day here today in Maine. Very sunny, 81 degrees I think was the highest the temperature got today. And it's not humid, of course. We got all that rain yesterday, so the humidity was pretty much gone. So it's just a dry heat. And you know, I don't know if you people are having this kind of problem here, but recently I have been getting notifications in my email that a package has been delivered to my address. And it's not a package that I didn't order. It's something that I did order, okay? But I get a notification through Amazon that my package has been delivered, and it says it's been put in your mailbox. I go to the mailbox, there's no package there, okay? And there isn't one there for almost 2 weeks after. So this has been going on consistently, and every time this happens now, I try to notify Amazon that the package that's been listed as arrived hasn't arrived, okay? And so I don't know why this is happening, why these messages are getting shot out there before the packages are really arrived. You know, I don't understand why that's happening. That never really happened before. But now it's happening a lot. And it's really nerve-wracking because, you know, you think you got something you ordered and you go run out there to see if it's in the post office box here outside, and it ain't there. You know, it drives me up the friggin' wall. And it keeps happening over and over again. So, you know, I don't know, you know, what's causing that or why they keep sending these friggin' messages out saying it's been delivered. But I wish they would fix it, whatever the hell is it, whatever's doing it. Because I order something and they say it's going to take 2 weeks to get here, and then after a week and a half, I get a message saying, "Oh, your package has been delivered and it's in your mailbox." And it even specifically says where it is, okay? Like they actually delivered the fucking thing there, you know, and wrote it down. But it ain't there. So I don't know why that's happening. I think that's bullshit, and they ought to fix that problem because it's really annoying, you know, because you think what happens is they might have delivered it to the wrong address. You know, when they do that, if they say it's been delivered and you don't see it, then you're worried that somebody else got it. So, yeah, it's bad system, whatever they got there. They need to stop that. So, going through the news today, I saw a funny little article here that I thought would be an interesting one to start with for today. There's this incident that happened, what state was this in? pause. Okay, St. Louis, Missouri. Okay, this lady goes to a Dollar Tree, and nobody's in there working, but the place is open. People can go inside, and it's completely abandoned by the workers. Okay. When this was posted today, all right, and somebody made a TikTok video here about it, which is how it got noticed by everybody. And let me read the article here. It says a TikToker has gone viral after claiming they went to visit their local Dollar Tree location only to find the store was closed. Upon closer inspection, however, user Yolanda claims she realized that the store is actually abandoned, with no employees having entered the store in weeks. So I decided to go to this Dollar Tree, and the people just walked off. Nobody works there. They abandoned this place, the St. Louis, Missouri-based creator says. She then shows several delivery notices attached to the store's door. They haven't been here in weeks. I can't make this up, Yolanda concludes. This isn't the first time Dollar Tree has been in the news for understaffing. Earlier this year, a video went viral after allegedly showing one woman in charge of an entire store with no other employees to help her. In the video, sympathetic customers can be seen assisting her with her duties. On TikTok, users speculate as to why Dollar Tree might be facing these staffing problems. Someone says, quote, "It's because Dollar Tree pays minimum wage and expects one person to stock and run the register," unquote. The Dollar Tree salaries range from $9.65 an hour for a stocking associate and $12.44 per hour for an assistant store manager. Low wages are a common theme in the comments. Quote, "Want to raise prices to over $1 but don't want to pay the workers," unquote. Second, they don't pay enough, overworked, understaffed, underpaid. I worked at a Dollar Tree. They don't pay enough and expect you to work like it's the only job out there. I worked at a Dollar Tree for 2 days with minimum wage. It's not worth it. You know, a lot of complaints, needless to say. And so, you know, I think, you know, about this, and of course we do have a worker shortage out there across the country, all right? Lots of job openings everywhere you go. I mean, everybody's looking for somebody, hiring everywhere, okay? It's not a lack of jobs, it's a lack of employees, okay? At this point, okay, you know, my brain is getting suspicious here that there's something more going on here than just simply people not happy with their work or something like that. You know, I worked at some jobs when I was younger that were sweat jobs, okay, for minimum wage, and I didn't like it, but I went to work anyways just so I could have the money, right? I mean, I just put up with it. And I don't know, I mean, I feel like, you know, I've been in Dollar Trees, okay, and sometimes they are busy, okay? There's points in the day where it can get busy, especially like, you know, lunch break or after work and stuff. People come in there to pick up things, and I've seen Dollar Trees around here look like they need more workers there. And yet, I mean, I see different faces though running these registers and stuff all the time. So either there's a lot of people quitting and then other people replacing them, or the stores are just unwilling to hire more people because they don't want to pay their employees. You know, I mean, it's like you're pulling teeth just to get them to pay for one employee to work in a store. Now they don't want to pay any more than that. I mean, Hannaford, okay, the grocery store on Hogan Road here. At any given time of the day, I would go in there. There's usually, I mean, they got like 7 registers, plus 4 that are do-it-yourself registers. You know what I'm saying? Okay, and most times in the day, they got maybe 1 or 2 registers running with real people, okay, working the register. And they have baggers, okay, which are people who could be running a register, but instead they're bagging, okay. So it seems to me like, you know, there's a little bit of an understaff over there too, okay, but it's not so bad. I mean, you, like I said, they have the, you know, the do-it-yourself checkout things, which is, you know, good to get people out of there in a hurry, if it's not lined up with a ton of people all thinking the same thing. But it just seems like, you know, if there's a lot of people shopping, which usually happens during holidays where people want to buy food and stuff like that, you know, for like Thanksgiving or something like that, if the place is mobbed, they're going to need more help than just, you know, 4 or 5 employees on the floor, okay. So a thing like what's happened here in St. Louis, Missouri, here, they you know, to have a store simply closed because nobody's there, nobody's working there, and everybody just leaves. Somebody had to lock the place up, right? I mean, somebody who owns or manages the place locked it up, okay? I don't get it. I mean, I just don't understand why it's like this. I mean, I've never heard of a store, you know, shutting its doors because they can't hire anybody. Nobody wants to work there. And is it really that bad? I mean, is Dollar Tree really that bad to work at? Because I would really like to see, you know, some videos of people working at a Dollar Tree and see what it is they got to put up with that's so bad at a Dollar Tree. Because I haven't gone to a Dollar Tree yet that looks like the employees are being abused there, okay? All what I do see is that they could use a couple more people working in any given shift, okay? And I think that would alleviate a lot of the problem here, and that's the reason why a lot of these people feel like they're overwhelmed. But you know, I worked at a job, I was in the Air Force, for Christ's sake, and I felt overwhelmed all the time, but you didn't see me cut and run. You know, I did the fucking job that was asked of me to do. Any other job that I had before that, I did the same thing. You know, I used to work in a stock room in a store like a Walmart back in the day, okay, and I used to work in the stock room. That job kept me running all the fucking time, because you know why? People usually forgot to put price tags on things, so I had to run in the back, use a microfiche to find the price in the stock room, and then run that information up to the register so they could type that out and, you know, check the people out, okay. That was before there were computerized stuff, okay? This is like in the 80s, all right? So everything had to be done the hard way. And I did that for a job. I did that for a whole year, okay, before I went into the Air Force after that, okay? And even though there were some good days and bad days, I'm not going to say that my time there was rotten like a lot of these people say today about their jobs are leaving, okay? You know, there were good people I worked with. There were times when there didn't seem to be enough people there, but a lot of times there seemed to be ample employees working, okay? And Lord knows, there were times in that store during the summer where it was so fucking hot, I could have just dropped dead from heat exhaustion, because they didn't have any air conditioning in that store, okay? And so, even during the summer, I was working in there and doing my job. Of course, it was part-time work, okay, which is common today for people, but back then part-time was like, oh, if you're not working full-time, then you're not really working, okay. But they gave me part-time because I was still in high school, okay. So I worked the 6-hour shift, and I got it at night, so it wasn't really too busy at night, you know. But when I got home, you know, it was okay, you know, and I didn't feel like I was being used and abused, okay, at my job. But somewhere along the way, after all these years, people that were my age, that were my age now, as I was then, you know, kids in high school or, you know, kids in college, just seem to take, you know, a week or two of a job, and then if they don't like it, they quit. And they need to understand, like, if you're working in a store, yeah, you're going to be, your feet's going to be running in a store, okay? You're going to be constantly moving. You can't be fucking around if you're running a store. And especially if you're the only one working in there, you better be on your damn toes. I mean, they're expecting you to do this job. If you don't like that, then don't work there, okay? Just, that's, you know, that's what I'm saying. They're going to tell you, when you go to apply for a job, it should tell you who's interviewing you, what they're going to be wanting you to do. That's the time to decide if you want that job or not, okay? That's the time to decide. If they tell you something you don't like it, and you say, well, I can't do that, then just get up and leave. Because obviously it doesn't seem to matter if these people have a job or not, right? Because they work a little bit and then they quit. So apparently they didn't really need the job in the first place. They can go without it. So they can be fussy. They can be fussy. And if these stores really need the help, then maybe there's room here to negotiate. You know what I'm saying? Maybe there's room to negotiate. And so maybe these people need to realize that it's not a yes or no when you go to these interviews, that maybe there's a middle ground here. And you say, look, if I'm going to be the only one on the floor working here, then I'm going to want a pay increase for those hours I'm working alone, okay? Because I'm going to be doubling my job workload here, and I ain't going to work for the same amount of wages. You either pay me more for that time when I'm working double or not. And if you don't, then I'm gone. I'll go ask somebody else for a job. You know, there's always, because like I said, there's work everywhere. Everybody's looking to hire, okay? People need to negotiate when you go to these interviews. That's the thing businesses don't like to do. But if they're really hurting for help and they really, 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 really need it bad, you know, maybe they'll meet you halfway, okay? So I think that, you know, people that are going to get jobs need to open your mouth and say something about what it is that you'll do and not do at a job, okay? This is the time to lay down your terms. You know, you don't have to sign on the dotted line, okay, after you hear the sales pitch from the fucking manager, okay? When they say, well, you got any questions? That's your cue to jump in and tell them what you want. But you got to listen. You have to listen to what they're telling you, and you got to understand, you know, they're not going to tell you or make it seem like they desperately need you, but they probably do. You know, they probably do. And if they desperately need you, then they're going to respect your wishes about how you're going to work, okay? Because it's up to the store to continue hiring after they hire you, not to just say, okay, let's take the looking for workers sign out of the fucking window now that we got somebody. You know, no, they have to put on more people than that. And I would request, look, can I see a staff list of how many people you got working here? You know, and figure it out. Do the math in your head. How many of these people are working in a day? I mean, is there anybody there working on just one day that's just one shift and there's only one person in the damn store? I mean, come on. You know, think. I mean, like I said, this is the time now where people looking for work can dictate their terms. And there's no reason why things like this should be happening. People walking off the job and locking the store up and leaving it, okay? There's no reason why that should be going on. People really ought to know better and say, look, you know, I ain't going to do this, because that's how these stores will understand whether or not the economy's good enough in the area to open up. I mean, if they really want to put a store somewhere to make money, then how are they going to make money if all the employees keep leaving the job all the time, and they end up with a store that's doing nothing but costing them money and electricity? You know, think about it. They're going to need workers. So I find it weird that this is going on. I'm not going to say that people today are afraid to work, okay? I'm not going to say that. What I am going to say is that people today have more of an advantage than I did when I got a job working at that store. When I went there, they had employees, okay? They didn't really need to hire me, but I put in for a part-time job, and I was only going to be there for a short time, you know, until I graduated. And so I guess they figured, well, all right, we can take him on, all right. And so the money I made there was enough because I was still living at home. But today they got, people have way more of an advantage to get their friggin' wishes met simply by, being hard to hire. Saying, look, I'm not just going to work salary here, $9 and whatever an hour, okay? If you're going to have me working alone in the store, all right, and all the responsibility of that store is on my shoulders, and if you're paying a manager $12 an hour to manage this fucking place, then I'm going to want something damn near as much as that for those hours I'm there alone. Otherwise, goodbye, because you're not going to ask me to be just the floor person and not the manager at the same time, running this whole damn store all by myself. Okay, that's impossible. Okay, I don't know why companies think they can get away with that, but that's like slave labor. I mean, that's like, just leaving somebody there to take care of everything, and if something happens there, you're the one to blame for everything. I mean, this just doesn't make any sense. And any number of things could happen in that damn store where they may not be able to do something because only the assistant manager can do it. They might a key to something or have access to a register. You know what I'm saying? There's all kinds of things. And if you can't do it, then what's the point of being there if they're not going to give you the access? There's a lot of things that go on in the store that people aren't aware of that require more than, just a bunch of register people. Okay, or stock people. Okay, you got to have somebody in there that can run, the office in the back, because sometimes there's stuff done in there for stock, to fill the stock, the floor, the shelves and everything. That's got to be taken care of. Who's going to do that? So, I don't know. It's a very strange work environment that we're going through right now. Very strange. I've never seen anything like this where people, there's work everywhere. Signs all over the fucking place. Help wanted, help wanted. And yet nobody's asking for a job. And I feel like, maybe they are going to these places. Maybe they are negotiating, and maybe these places are not willing to negotiate, but I can't see how that is. I mean, if there's so much hatred out there right now because everything is so slow, to just go through the drive-through, to just go eat out, to go to the, do anything. The services are all so slow because there's not enough people. Then why are they letting this happen? Why are these stores letting this happen? Why is it when I go to a Walmart, they got 17 fucking registers in there, and at any given night there's only 4 running, okay, with the self-checkout things on top of that? Why is it that's always the case? There's no reason why people should be waiting in lines all the way to the underwear department, okay, to get out of that fucking store. Okay, but yet they'll put up with it. The stores will put up with it. So why? Why is this happening? I really would like to know, what makes them feel like they can sweat this out with just a minimum of employees. I don't know. That's a lot to think about right there. I mean, it's just when you think about how stores are managed these days, they're really not managed very well, apparently. And it's a wonder that people are saying, oh, stock market's doing well and making lots of money. How? If people aren't working, how do they get money to buy anything? How is the market doing well? I mean, what is it? Just rich people buying each other's stock? I mean, is that all it is? Because if that is, that's not a true picture of America as it is today. When you don't have people going shopping as much, don't travel as much, you know what I'm saying? And gas is through the fucking roof. That all adds up to people not wanting to do much because they can't afford it. And especially when you're getting wages like that an hour for a fucking job at a store. Okay? I don't know. I just don't understand how that's possible. That's why I say that despite what Democrats say, despite what the numbers on Wall Street show, we're not getting the whole picture here, and the economy is not doing well at all. Okay? And people, Democrats like to say, well, it's not just the economy, it's the global economy. The whole global economy is not doing well. Well, gee golly gosh, Why is that happening? Because, you know, we created a goddamn global economy way back in the 90s, okay, that made every country a victim to the other. You know, we were buying other countries' crap, but they weren't buying anything of ours. We've had a problem with that global economy since it started, okay? The other countries were treating us very unfair, okay? They weren't buying anything American from us, and we were buying everything, China, everything from other countries, Mexico, Canada. You know, we were importing more shit than we were exporting. So the value of our money went all around the fucking globe, but we got nothing in return practically for it, okay? Nothing. And then we started losing our jobs to cheap labor. You know, that's your global economy right there. So when was the global economy ever that friendly to us? Okay, it never was. And right now, where it's so easy to topple that economy because of a pandemic, it doesn't really improve my opinion about the system as it is. Okay, it's still shitty, and we still need to get ourselves out from under it. Okay, all this NAFTA crap that they signed into law, you know, we need to remove all that and go back to the way things were. Okay, because that's the better times of America, when we actually put tariffs on fucking imports and stuff and made people pay to put their stuff here. Okay, so anyway, let's go to a commercial break.
Dear CEO, what's it gonna take for you to do something? Yeah, do you even care?
Climate change affects all of us.
This is your chance to do something good.
If I'm beaten and raped in the state of Texas, I have to give birth to the baby of my rapist. If I am raped by my father, brother, or uncle and get pregnant in the state of Texas, I have to give birth to the baby of my family abuser. This new law is so draconian that I can be prosecuted for having an abortion, and so can my doctors, friends, and family who advise me, or even the Uber driver who simply drives me to the clinic. This is madness. The same people who have been protesting and screaming, "My body, my choice," when it comes to the COVID vaccine, are now saying I don't have any control over my own body. Texas Republicans won't require a 12-year-old girl to wear a mask in school that may save her life and the lives of other children, but they will force her to keep a baby regardless of how she got pregnant, including rape and incest. I am a woman, and I have a constitutional right to make decisions for my own body. I am a woman, and I have a human right to refuse to give birth to my rapist's baby. I am a woman. This is my body. I am a woman. This is the United States of America. I am a woman. You do not own or control my mind or my body.
My body is my choice.
Shame on the men and women who passed this law, and shame on anyone who sits in silence while women suffer and die because of it.
Mentos, the This one is about the MAGA rallies, the presidential rallies that President Trump is so famous for.
He said every child's name that was shot and rang a bell for them. Now, that is what a president does.
What about getting a department that can look at young men that's looking at women, that's looking at just social media? What about doing that, looking into things like that, and we can stop that way?
This is not about virtue cycling and signing.
Fear of being stigmatized.
Fake meat that grows in a Peachtree dish.
And there are 300-something million people, 400 million guns. You don't see that as a problem?
No.
Let me tell you the truth about the enemies of the Second Amendment. They are schooled in the ways of Marx and Lenin.
These are the exact same people that want to murder unborn children in the womb by dismemberment all the way up to birth. But yet now all of a sudden we're supposed to believe that they care about children.
It's the gun-free school zones, Tucker. Those are the biggest problems.
At the end of the day, we're going to look at the people who do these acts, we're going to convict them, and we're going to punish them.
Sir, you can't convict him. He was killed.
He's dead.
He was killed along with 19 children in the school behind me.
Hi, I'm Mike Crispy, and I'm running for U.S. Congress because we need to put election integrity first. That starts with ending ballot drop box.
He's a tough guy. He doesn't want to do it. He doesn't want to run into a nest of illegal aliens that happen to like knives very much.
There has been still no evidence or proof provided that there was any sort of fraud in that.
Well, no, that's wrong. I don't know why you people in the media keep saying that, but that is absolutely false.
Be a part of the entertainment value of a lifetime.
I loved it. It was the best performance I've seen in a lifetime.
I loved the show. I liked it very much. He's a very entertaining man. It's well worth the money.
Now appearing in Charlottetown, coming to Halifax November 6th to the 18th, and St. John November 20th through the 26th.
Okay, welcome back. So this other little story here about French fries. Apparently, the chain of McDonald's restaurants in Russia obviously was all closed up because McDonald's pulled out of there, leaving these stores behind and the owners behind of that chain over there. So what they did is they renamed those McDonald's restaurants into, what did they name them? Kuzno and Tochka, which means tasty and that's it. Really blunt to the point. Tasty and that's it. And the CEO of this chain of spin-off McDonald's stores is Oleg Peroev. And he told Reuters the chain had sold almost $120,000 burgers on opening day. That's when it was under the new name. They sold 120,000 burgers, but they can't get the French fries that McDonald's gets from the countries that they get theirs from. They can't get them because those countries are blockading or sanctioning Russia because of what's going on in Ukraine. Okay, and so I guess the guy's having a fit over there about it. And you know, it's like, well, okay, you're upset because you can't get your fries. Well, let me tell you something. Russia was a big producer of potatoes back in the day. So why don't they just open up farms over there to start growing more potatoes, and they can get their supply from their own country? You know, what's the problem? They have fries quicker than they'll get it from any other country. So I don't know. I just don't get it why, you know, it's such a big to-do here. Like I said, Russia right now has, you know, the option of replacing a lot of what they lost in the sanctions with their own businesses and investing in themselves over there, which is what we ought to be doing here in this country, by the way. We ought to be reinvesting our money in America to strengthen our country. Well, Russia might be weak right now because of the sanctions, but they can also become self-sufficient and cut themselves off from the rest of the world and still be viable and still be strong. Okay, their money would only be good in Russia, but who the hell cares, right, if they can get anything they want? And of course there's always China, which is sort of their ally a little bit, I guess. You know, I'm sure China and Russia, because they still sell Chinese cars in Russia, although the Russians really don't think much of the Chinese cars over there, but they are still getting shipments of cars from China to sell there. All right, so like I said, Russia is not like up the creek without a paddle. They got paddles in their boat. They just need to take the things out and use them. Okay, these sanctions will only hurt them for a short while until they start to get assertive and take care of what they lost on their own, which they can do. Because like I said, they're not completely isolated here from the rest of the world. They're just isolated from the rest of the businesses in the world, but not from the world itself. They can replace all they've lost here. It would take a little time, but you know, after a while they would get things back. And that's why I say the longer these sanctions go on and the more pressure they put on Russia, the more it incentivizes Russia to just cut their ties to the world and say, fuck you, we're going to take care of ourselves. And then, you know, then the sanctions won't mean a goddamn thing. Okay? They won't mean a fucking thing. And they can keep doing this war in Ukraine until the cows come home. All right? So at some point, you know, if you want Russia to stop this fighting in Ukraine, they're going to have to do a whole lot more than sanctions. Unless you're willing to go in there, militarily speaking, to put a stop to this fight, then you might as well lift the sanctions or something or whatever, because you're not really helping anybody here. You know, the Russians are going to come to that realization very, very quickly. You know, like I said, a lot of Russia is farmland, simple farmland, okay? And a lot of people in Russia are poor, dirt poor. And what could elevate them out of that poverty is work, jobs. Here's an opportunity for that country to go boom, you know, to create all kinds of jobs to make up for what the rest of the world isn't going to give them. You know, it's up to them. But yeah, I mean, I find that, you know, taking it from this article here about how this guy's bitching that, you know, we're not getting the French fries. Well, they're obviously not going to get the meat either from McDonald's. Okay, that's you know, they can't be getting that. I don't understand why this guy thought buying this chain would be a benefit to him, because right now is not the time to start a business when your country is under sanctions. You know what I'm saying? It would have been better, you know, to have waited at a better time, like I said, which would probably come once, you know, the people in Russia decide to, you know, take care of themselves. I don't know, it's just a weird article, you know, you hear that. But, you know, there's a lot of stores over there that the companies closed up and left in their malls and stuff like that over there. And they're all just dried up places that were designed to hold thousands of people. Now they hold maybe a few hundred, you know, people shopping there in a day. And that's it, okay? Because a lot of the stores are just gone. They ain't there. It's sort of like the airport mall here in Bangor, you know. They ain't got shit. What they have is just Russian stores there, okay? But all the ones that people like to shop at there no more. So, like I said, you know, when people get sick and tired of looking at closed, or you know, all the time over there, they're going to, you know, somebody is going to get a hair up their ass and say, enough is enough, okay? We're going to fix this. And on the climate change issue here that's tackling the world here, there's an article here about Texas, written by Ben Adler. It's entitled How the Heat Dome in Texas is Related to Climate Change. Texas is making national headlines for its climate change related extreme weather again. This time for a so-called heat dome that's trapping warm temperatures over the area. More than a year after its infamous deep freeze triggered massive blackouts, the Lone Star State is sweltering through a severe summer heat wave. On Sunday, over a dozen municipalities in Texas set record high temperatures, with some reaching 113 degrees. The National Weather Service labeled the conditions, quote, oppressive and dangerous, unquote, and experts warned of potential disruptions to electricity distribution. The extreme heat has lasted for several days, with San Antonio expecting to reach 104 degrees and Houston hitting a high of 98 degrees on Wednesday. News accounts typically describe the occurrence as a heat dome that settles over the state for days. The same term was used last June in reference to the record-breaking week-long heat wave that caused hundreds of deaths in the Pacific Northwest. Unlike other extreme weather events such as hurricanes, heat domes are a phenomena that most Americans have become aware of only recently. But because of climate change, they were... Whoa! What the hell are you doing in there? Jesus. Stay. No, come here. Cat. With extreme heat waves have become more prevalent in recent years, a heat dome is a particular type of heat wave. The National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration explains that a heat dome, quote, happens when strong high-pressure atmospheric conditions combine with influences from La Nina, creating vast areas of sweltering heat that gets trapped under the high-pressure dome. A team of scientists funded by the NOAA Modeling, Analysis, Predictions, and Projections program studied the cause of heat domes and found that the primary factor was, quote, a strong change or gradient in ocean temperatures from west to east in the tropical Pacific Ocean during the preceding winter, unquote. Basically, global warming is causing warm air to rise over the western Pacific as prevailing winds move the hot air east. The northern shifts of the jet stream trap the air and move it toward land where it sinks, resulting in heat waves. The NOAA study states, much like the severe winter weather that the South has also increasingly experienced lately, the heat dome is related to the jet stream, a band of air flowing in a westerly direction. When the, quote, when the jet stream swings far to the north, air piles up and sinks, wrote William Gallus, a professor of atmospheric science at Iowa State University, in a recent column for The Conversation. Quote, the air warms as it sinks, and the sinking air also keeps skies clear since it lowers humidity. That allows the sun to create hotter and hotter conditions near the ground. Quote, if the air near the ground passes over mountains and descends, it can warm even more. This downslope warming played a large role in the extremely hot temperatures in the Pacific Northwest during a heat dome event in 2021, when Washington set a state record with 120 degrees Fahrenheit, unquote. Because the poles are warming faster than the equator, and the difference in temperature between those regions drives the jet stream, climate change has made the jet stream wavier and more likely to move towards the North Pole in the Northern Hemisphere. As a result, heat domes are going to be more regular occurrences, especially if the greenhouse gas emissions causing climate change are not curbed. So we got this phenomena here occurring more frequently and increasing as it happens, these domes here. And Texas is a good place to study that because Texas has always been a hot state in the summer. I live there, okay? And I remember when the temperature would get over like 105, 100, and even when it's and of course they don't have the humidity we do in Maine, but even a dry heat can be uncomfortable, when it goes over 100 degrees, okay? And it's no fun. I mean, even just to go outside and play, no. The heat will just sap the energy right out of you. And when I went to basic training in the Air Force in San Antonio, Texas, there was Black Flag days where it was so hot they couldn't let anybody outside to even march. Okay, it was just too hot. So a lot of times we would do our exercises early in the morning where it was coolest. Of course, we didn't get much sleep, but that's when we had to do our exercises and things was way early when the sun hadn't come up yet. Like 3 o'clock in the morning, and and then we'd have breakfast right after. But usually if it was a hot day, we'd have that, and then we'd go to our classes, and then we'd just be in the dorm all fucking day, which was boring. So a lot of times, we didn't really do much of anything basic in the Air Force because it was so hot down there. And how can you possibly accomplish anything? I mean, I know they increased the number of weeks in the Air Force for basic training shortly after I graduated from there to 8 weeks. It was 6 weeks before. Now it's 8 weeks. So I think perhaps that might have something to do with it. That perhaps because they're losing so many days to these Black Flag days down there that they have to add it on to the end basically to make up for what they can't do. So that's basically it. And it used to get hot in the dorms because they weren't very well air conditioned, okay, and when you got when you got 100 people, in one section of the dorm, and it's like a whole what they call a flight, okay. When you got 100 people, I mean, hey, it gets stuffy in there, It's not so nice, and so Texas is really, a bad state when it comes to that, heat and things. Which is why a lot of that state is just simply flat and desert, and they ain't got a damn thing there but snakes and spiders everywhere. I ain't saying it's all like that, but the part of Texas I saw wasn't very nice. Okay, that's where I was living, which is almost as dead center of Texas. Okay, so if you look at a map of Texas and you just go right to the dead center of the Texas, you're going to see a lot of area that's just dirt. Desert, there ain't nothing there. So there's that. All right, and this other article here from Ben Adler talks about Joe Manchin. It's entitled, U.S. cannot fulfill climate change pledges if Manchin won't vote for clean energy, experts say. If Senator Joe Manchin, Democrat from West Virginia, will not vote for a budget reconciliation bill that includes the measures to reduce climate change in the version passed by the House of Representatives last year, as the Washington Post reported Thursday night, that he would not. It virtually guarantees that the United States will fail to meet its international commitments to reduce the greenhouse gas emissions causing climate change. As part of his efforts to galvanize a strong global agreement to avert catastrophic climate change by staying below 1.5 degrees Celsius or 2.7 degrees Fahrenheit in Glasgow, Scotland last year, President Biden pledged that the U.S. would reduce by at least half its emissions from a 2005 baseline by 2030 due to the energy sector's reduction in coal use. The nation is already almost halfway to that goal, with emissions having dropped by about 1/5 since 2005, but getting the rest of the way there is impossible without legislation that hastens the transition from fossil fuels to clean energy, according to modeling by economists, scientists, and policy workers. Quote, this appears to be the final installment of the collapse of Democratic hopes for a major legislative package on climate for the 117th Congress, unquote. Barry Rabe, a professor of environmental policy and public policy at the University of Michigan, told Yahoo News in an email about Manchin's reported stance. Quote, despite bold initial promises, Congress has once again failed to deliver on a climate bill. This clearly imperils any prospects to honor President Biden's emissions reduction pledge and further challenges American credibility in global climate deliberations, unquote. Thursday, the Rhodium Group, a research and data and analytics firm specializing in energy and the environment, issued a study showing that the U.S. is on pace to reduce emissions 24 to 35% below 2005 levels by 2030. Absent significant new policies, in other words, the best case scenario is that the U.S. gets 70% of the way towards Biden's goal of cutting emissions in half, and it is just as likely to get halfway to the goal. Manchin had previously signaled support for provisions in the budget bill, formerly known as Biden's Build Back Better agenda, that would subsidize the deployment of clean energy and electric vehicles. Democrats wanted to spend hundreds of billions of dollars over 10 years on tax credits for purchases such as rooftop solar panels, electric cars, and tax credits on incentives for projects such as advanced battery storage and cleaning up industrial processes. Congressional Democrats and Biden and already agreed to drop other climate provisions such as the Clean Electricity Performance Program, which would have provided incentives for electric utilities that switch to clean energy sources such as wind and solar power at Manchin's request. Previous studies by organizations such as the World Resources Institute, a leading global environmental think tank, had found that the U.S. could meet Biden's emissions target, just barely, but the package of climate provisions Manchin had indicated he could support, possibly in exchange for approval of more fossil fuel infrastructure projects. Quote, failure to enact a climate smart budget package would be a devastating setback to achieving the United States' pledge to cut emissions in half by 2030, unquote, said Dan Lashoff, director of WRI United States, in a statement on Friday. Quote, research shows that strong financial investments like those under consideration in the budget reconciliation package are essential for the U.S. to achieve that timeline, unquote. But on Thursday evening, the Washington Post reported that Manchin had told Democratic leaders he would not vote for a bill that includes spending on climate change or tax increases on wealthy individuals and corporations to pay for it. Quote, Senator Manchin believes it's time for leaders to put political agendas aside, reevaluate and adjust to the economic realities the country faces to avoid taking steps that add fuel to the inflation fire, unquote, said Manchin's spokesperson Sam Runyon. On Friday morning, the West Virginia Democrat told a local radio station in his home state that he is open to backing the climate change policies if inflation eases next month. Quote, I said, Chuck, can we just wait until the inflation figures come out in July and then make a decision what we can do and how much we can do, unquote, Manchin said, referring to a conversation he had with Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer, Democrat, New York. Quote, Schumer took that as a no, I guess, and came out with this big thing last night, and I don't know what they did. I guess they tried to put pressure on me, but they've been doing that for over a year now. It doesn't make any sense at all. As far as I'm concerned, I want climate, I want an energy policy, unquote. If Manchin doesn't provide his crucial vote, however, and Republicans gain control of at least one chamber of Congress in November's midterm elections, there is no hope for legislation to address climate change. And without legislation, the federal government has limited tools at its disposal to reduce emissions. Only Congress can tax and spend. And contrary to Manchin's reasoning about inflation, a 2021 study by the Rhodium Group found that American households would save an average of about $500 per year on energy bills if the climate package were to pass. Quote, we need to make it more affordable for everyday Americans to get off of fossil fuels, unquote, Leah Stokes, a political scientist who specializes in environmental policy at the University of California, Santa Barbara, told Yahoo News. quote, fossil fuels are expensive. They are driving inflation. The bill would have been really great for everyday Americans' pocketbooks. It would have helped them close the gaps so that they could afford an electric vehicle, so that they could afford an electric heat pump. There were all these investments that were going to make it easier for utilities to build wind and solar, that were going to make it easier to retire dirty, expensive fossil fuel plants. It really was about helping to invest in climate solutions so that we can move at a faster pace, unquote. Using executive authority under existing laws such as the Clean Air Act, the Environmental Protection Agency can require stronger pollution controls, and the Department of Interior can restrict fossil fuel development on federal land, but those moves, assuming they survive the inevitable legal challenges from the fossil fuel industry, will only reduce emissions at the margins. Well, one of the tragedies of the past 18 months is that the Biden administration has been wary of upsetting these delicate negotiations with Senator Manchin, and so they have held back on using the full force of their executive authority, unquote, Stokes said. Quote, that's not the case going forward. The Biden administration will be acting. It will be much more aggressive on everything from Clean Air Act regulations to limiting fossil fuel development. There's no reason to delay anymore, so we could be in a slightly better place if and when the Biden administration kicks into high gear on climate change. Quote, but getting to the goal is difficult, unquote, she added. Quote, and there is modeling that has estimated what does it mean if the Biden administration uses all the regulations it can, and it tends to be, it gets us like 5 percentage points closer to the goal. So if we're at 35%, it gets us to 40% optimistically, unquote. We are not currently on track to meeting our international climate commitments or environmental justice commitments, unquote. Jamie Rad, executive director of Evergreen Action, a climate advocacy group, told Yahoo News, quote, a major investment was necessary over the next decade to supercharge our transition to clean energy and bring down the cost of wind and solar and ramp up renewable energy production. Without that major investment, it's hard to see how we meet our commitments, unquote. So yeah, okay, so what we got here is Manchin being Manchin, okay? He's a fucking dino, Democrat in name only, okay? But he's all for his coal companies, you know, in West Virginia. That's the big thing down there in that state, is the coal company. So anything that's going to, you know, cut into the coal industry in that state, he's going to be against. Okay, he's been standing on that and beating the Democrats over the head with his position to protect coal companies down there for years. And what he doesn't understand is that coal industry is going to be the dinosaur of fossil fuels if he just simply votes with the rest of Congress and gets green energy, renewable energy, what you know what I'm saying, moving. That would open up a whole bunch of new jobs that these people can work at, and they don't have to get a black lung anymore working in the coal mines. Okay, you transition these people out of working there and you put them into these other jobs that you open up from renewable energy. Problem solved. He doesn't have to worry about the coal industry. Okay, if these people running the coal industry have a fucking brain in their head, you know, after all this time, they ought to be investing in that right now, because they know that's the future. That's the fucking future, because oil is not infinite. There is a limit to how much of that we're going to get out of the earth. That's coming to an end, okay? Coal, same fucking thing. You're not going to be able to get much out of that, you know. We're slowly sucking the earth dry of all the fossil fuels that, you know, over the last 100 years or more, using. Okay, there isn't going to be a whole lot more left to go. So why not start investing in the future? Why are these people so stuck in the past and unrelenting? Okay, because if they give a shit at all about their companies, then they would be making that transition right now to investing, you know, in green energy. Okay, they would be doubling down on that right now. What's the problem with doing that? Okay, every company has to go through a phase of transition, you know, in the market. It always happens. Okay, you just look how many times, you know, the electronics market had to change over the last 100 years, okay, to where it is today. They had to do this all the fucking time because as technology advanced, they had to advance with it. Okay, so if you want to know how to do it, you talk to these people, you know, in the electronics industry, and ask them, how do you transition from one thing to another? They'll tell you how you do it, okay? But these people, they don't want to let go of the past. Okay, they're too afraid to tell their stockholders, well, look, we're going to change the market here. You know, we're going to add something into the market. Okay, they're going to get nervous. They're going to say, oh, how much is that going to cost me? You know, right off the bat, these people, they all get, you know, they got more fucking money than they'll ever spend in their lifetime, and yet they act like, you know, they're like one paycheck away from being poor. Okay, Jesus Christ. You know, these people, they are walking worry warts. They got more money than they'll ever need in their life, okay, and yet they constantly feel like they're going to lose everything, you know, and maybe it's because they've invested too much in too many things, okay, and they can't keep track of their money, you know, that's why they hire firms to do that for them, you know, and if that's the case, then they need to slow down on their fucking spending and start putting that money aside and saving it for the time when the transition is happening, and they'll have money to fall back on until it's done. That's what they ought to be doing right now. These stockholders ought to be saving their fucking money and not reinvesting it in other things and hoping to make more money. Because those days are going to come to a very quick end here. At some point, this high spending here is going to drop, okay, as things just come to a screeching halt in this country, whether it's from shifting markets to, you know, problems with the, you know, whatever company because of employee problems, or, you know, they ain't got enough employees, and the problem with the supply chain, and the, you know, there's going to come a limit here. We're coming to it soon where the market is just not going to be able to stay up there, okay? And when it comes down, it's going to come down hard enough to cause another recession, all right? I mean, a lot of market analysts are already saying that we're coming to another recession if things don't change, okay? High interest rates from the bank aren't going to stop it, okay? That's actually, and some of them say it's actually going to contribute to the problem. But as it stands, you know, we're only going to enjoy these Wall Street booms here for so long, and then that's all going to come to an end. And then, you know, to reinvest back in certain things, it's going to be, you know, these people are going to have to lose money in order to stay relevant in what they're doing. So that's why I say it's time for companies like Exxon and British Petroleum, you know what I'm saying, these companies like that, to start investing in more green energy stuff, okay? Put aside the oil, put aside the coal, the gas, all that other stuff. Put that all aside, okay? And start making the transition to recyclable energy, renewable energy, green energy that's clean, okay? And then put that out there on the market so that the consumers can participate in doing and making that transition. And after a while, when that transition's going, then you're going to find that you're set up for this new economy, and you'll be able to let go of the fossil fuel economy because it's not going to be as relevant anymore, and that's just going to be an old thing. And then after a while, you're not even going to care about it. You know, people are just going to say, well, that's it, oil is gone, you know, and so then we'll be able to move on to another thing, and then that's it. It's a slow process, but you've got to start sometime, and you can't be waiting. You know, the rest of the world is looking at us to see if we can make our own pledges here, and apparently, you know, we're having a hard time doing it. But we can do it. We just have to be disciplined enough to do it, and we have to get people like Joe Manchin the hell out of the way, so that the rest of the country can actually evolve forward, okay, in something, instead of taking steps into the 18th century. We have to advance somewhere. Jesus Christ. You know, something's happening to this country that's, you know, can't be really explained in just a sentence or two. But when you take a look at it, it's like, you know, there's a lot of smoke, and underneath that is a ton of fire. All right, so that's it for today. Please keep your ears open for the COVID-19 news in your local area. Subscribe and comment. And hey, get out and register to vote. It's coming November here. That's coming up. So please do that. Don't wait. And so take care of each other out there. Be nice. And I'll talk to you again later. So bye-bye.